Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2023 movie Bad Things. It's a Shudder original, and it's coming to Shudder on Friday, August 18th, so this is a no-spoiler review. I'm going to tell you off the bat, I don't recommend this movie, but, there is always this but, it wasn't for me. I do know that every single movie will find its audience, and I hope that it finds its audience, so I always say that, the only way for you to know how you're going to feel about a movie is if you watch it yourself. You can see reviews from people like me, and they can tell you how they personally feel, but that doesn't mean that you're going to feel the same way. But sometimes people really identify with my taste in movies, so they'll kind of, take that and be like, well, I probably wouldn't, or I probably would like it. Even so much in the opposite case, actually, where I have someone who will usually watch my reviews, and a lot of times when I don't like them, be like, because you don't like it for this reason, I'm pretty sure I will like it. And I love that. That's awesome. Anyway, going to talk about Bad Things, written and directed by Stewart Thorndike, who also did the film Lyle, which I have not seen. Again, it's a Shudder original coming Friday, August 18th. So, synopsis... it's about a group of friends. The main character is a girl who just lost her mother, and her mother owned a hotel that looks like it's kind of not in operation anymore. So shooting location, super interesting, I will say that. That's a point for the movie. So she and her friends kind of go there and they kind of hang out. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do with the hotel. Does she want to keep it? Does she want to sell it? And it's kind of supposed to be this like cathartic type thing. But then some things start popping up, some things start kind of going wrong, and it's horror. And I don't want to say too much more in case people do want to watch this movie. So go ahead and check it out if you are so inclined. The music, color palette, and smooth, slow camera movement in the very beginning of the movie gives a very calm feeling to it. I really like the way this movie does open. And it's interesting because there are a lot of those types of moments where it feels calm. And this is a film that's actually doing a very different color palette than a lot of horror movies nowadays. So I would give it points for that too. It's not doing this like bleached palette drab color ordeal that pretty much everyone's doing. It's way more bright and vibrant and real life coloration. And I am for that. It's at no point is it dark either. It's all like shot in broad daylight, which I'm a fan of too. So the shooting location, I love that it's something very different. It's very interesting to kind of explore along with the characters this hotel that's not really in operation anymore. I don't know if you're a person like me who's always kind of like dreamt of having abandoned places to themselves, and this is kind of, you get that kind of feeling with the movie. So that's an aspect I did enjoy. I literally just said that I dig the setting mainly because it is very unique for horror. Haven't really seen a whole lot of horror movies in hotels. I mean, obviously, the best and biggest example being The Shining. But other than that, I guess like The Innkeepers, I know I saw that one that was in a hotel. But other than that, can't really think of a whole lot that entirely take place at a hotel. So I like that. There is no ADR, or at least there doesn't really appear to be any ADR in this movie. And the acoustics in the hotel itself are bad. So there is a bit of an issue with the audio. So if you're not a fan of hearing, a bad acoustics echo along with, the characters delivering their lines, that might bother you. If it doesn't bother you, then fine. You're not going to have any issue with the audio there, but bothered me a little bit. Didn't bother me too much. I did get used to it. I kind of settled in on it, so it wasn't a terrible choice in my opinion. I really like the score composition for the most part. It has this kind of like sad affect to it a bunch of the times that I really did enjoy. It's a little bit like melancholy at times. And I like that. I like the composition of the score. And I also like the fact that they didn't really scream at you with the score, which is one of my big pet peeves when movies do that. So it's kind of a bit more restrained. It's a bit more unique in its composition. If you watch the movie, you'll get what I'm talking about. But it's its own thing. So whoever did the score, nice job. Quite a nice job. The movie is slow and seems to be quite aimless. So this is pointing to probably the largest problem, or certainly the largest problem, in my opinion, with the movie, which is the script. This movie seems like it's more of an idea and not a fleshed out script, unfortunately. This is another one of those films that I kind of talk about where it would be good as a short film. It does not work as a feature-length film because it just feels like it's being stretched with a bunch of filler that it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't do anything for the movie. The film does try to build tension at times, but it just doesn't happen. And even if it builds like a little like modicum of tension, that ends up going away because of all this filler that ends up being thrown in there. Now, a lot of the times the filler is the interactions between the characters, like kind of like chit-chatty, meaningless kind of interactions, you know, banter, stuff like that, which I do enjoy to some degree. Like, those were some of my favorite parts of the movie, is that kind of feel between the characters. But there's so much of it that you're just like, okay, we should cut this down a bunch and actually, you know, focus on some story maybe. The story seems to be kind of put aside a lot just for those kind of meandering conversations, and actually the characters just kind of meandering a little bit through the actual shooting location. So, just my thoughts. The acting is a mixed bag. There are some individuals who have strong performances. There's one individual in particular who I thought was not very strong. I don't want to like call people out because I just feel like that's too mean. I was really interested in watching this movie. I got excited when I saw that Hari Nef was in it because I really enjoyed Hari Nef in Assassination Nation, and I thought they did a solid job in this one. Not as good as in Assassination Nation, but still pretty good. There were some other people who did a good job, but there was one person in particular I was kind of like, not cast the best. And it kind of pulled a bunch of their scenes down, unfortunately. I like the meaningless character interactions, like I was saying, but they don't feel like they have legitimate ties to one another beyond just being chit-chat. That's another aspect of these kind of filler moments, is that they're kind of fun at times, but it kind of makes it feel like the characters are only surface level, like they kind of like just met each other, but that's not the case. There are things that are talked about in it that are, it's supposed to be like they have known each other for a long time, but you don't feel that. And I don't think it's the acting, I think it's the writing. I just don't think the writing does a good job of kind of fleshing out these characters and making their relationships feel all that realistic. Now, from a dialogue standpoint, I do think it's pretty decent, because like I said, those chit-chat moments are pretty entertaining from time to time. There are some abrupt character changes that do not make sense. Again, this goes back to the writing being a little bit of a problem, where, you know, you'll have a character acting a certain way and then all of a sudden it's like they flip on a dime and it doesn't make sense for what's been going on. It doesn't make sense for their character. Just another issue based off the writing. There is a large failure in trying to build tension in this. It really, at least for me, never hits a point of tension. Now, some people may view it as being the ambiance, the atmosphere isn't creepy enough because it's, you know, broad daylight and there's nothing like creepy looking at all. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because that can be done. Like, look at the film Midsommar, like, did a great job. Everything's in broad daylight and it's pretty creepy, pretty terrifying at times. So it's not just that, it's not the lighting of it, it's that the flow, it's the writing, it's the flow of it, it's just not there. Like, and like I said, even when it feels like they might be trying to build some sort of tension, it just doesn't get there, especially because of that filler that ends up swooping in and kind of killing it. There's something at the end in this movie that I did see coming a mile away, unfortunately. That's not going to be the case for everyone. I think it's kind of how I particularly watch movies. I am always trying to kind of guess, and I know that it's probably better to just turn your brain off and watch a movie, but that's not what I do for these videos in particular. I have to pay a lot more attention, so I'm just kind of in that mode. But did see it coming a mile away. I think it was a little too strongly hinted at in the movie, but that might also just be me. The last thing I do want to say about this, I will applaud the camera work. I was a fan of the camera work. It was quite smooth, and they had some interesting shots with it. With a lot of these very low-budget movies, and this looks like it's almost like a no-budget movie. With a lot of these, they have a tendency to have super shaky handheld camera work This one did not. It was, I mean, even if it was handheld, it was super smooth, and there were some really nice, interesting camera movements. I'm a fan of that. So whoever did the camera work, excellent job with this one. So nice on that. That's all I have to say about Bad Things. Out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I can only give it 1.5 stars, unfortunately. Not a big fan. I thought about between 1 and 1.5, but there are a few things that I have applauded, like I said in this video, so I'm going to give it 1.5 stars. But this is where I want to hear other people's opinions on the movie, especially differing opinions. Go ahead and put it in the comments. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you in between on it? We can go ahead and talk about that. Also, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That is your best way to support me if you're liking all this free content that I'm putting out. And you can also hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting out new videos. And I'm doing 3 a week at this point, which, you know, I think is a pretty good amount. I'm putting in some solid work. But regardless, thank you so much for checking out this video. And until next time, keep it brutal.